Welcome to The Heart of Health Live. There's a place for modern medicine in your life. Learn to use it correctly by getting your toughest questions answered on today's broadcast. Discover modern medicine's strengths and weaknesses. Lifestyle medicine opens the door to optimum health and healing. How you live and what you eat can profoundly affect mind and body. Learn simple solutions to complex problems. God provides the ultimate healing we all desire. He wants us healthy and happy. We just need to understand His plan for our lives and live accordingly. And now, live from Studio 1A in Chattanooga, Tennessee, here's your Heart of Health host, Dr. James Marcum.
Welcome everyone to Heart of Health Live, and we're glad you've joined us. We have a very exciting program. If you want to be part of the program, let me tell you how in just a second, but I'm going to introduce our guest tonight. We have a gastroenterologist, and that is a very big word, but a gastroenterologist helps people understand and treat diseases that comes with organs like the esophagus, the part that you swallow, the stomach that does the digesting, the intestines, which helps move water and nutrients throughout your body. They're also experts in organs that you've heard, like the pancreas and the liver. So if you have a question regarding those organs, we have Dr. Collen Schmitt, who's a board-certified gastroenterologist that's actually practiced. She doesn't live in an ivory tower and write books all the time. She sees patients all the time. She's going to be great to answer your questions. Our phone number here is 855-644-3278. And what you do when you call, you'll talk to one of our operators. If you want to, you can just leave your question. We can write it down, and they can bring it out to answer us. If you want to talk to Dr. Schmitt live, we can do that as well. Also, for those that want their questions answered on the internet, you can go to our website. That's heartwiseministries.org. And we'd also encourage you, if you into the social media, I almost said ministry. If you're in the social networking, you can be at one of our Facebook friends and know what the ministry is doing all the time, know about our guests, know about when the rebroadcasts are. So here's your chance to ask a question. The lines are wide open right now, 855-644-3278. If whatever you're doing, if you want to learn something about your GI tract, many people have the same questions. So stay with us. Dr. Schmitt has agreed to give her time to us today, and she's going to answer your questions to the best of her ability. So stay with us, and we're going to be right back after this short break with Dr. Schmitt.
The Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Dr. Tim Jennings with your Mental Health Minutes. Are you pregnant or thinking of becoming pregnant? Do you want to ensure your child will have the healthiest brain possible? Then avoid all alcohol, because as little as 1 glass of wine per week alters brain development and is associated with behavior and emotion problems. Avoid smoking. Children born to mothers who smoked had higher rates of learning and behavior problems and psychotic disorders. Take omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s promote healthy brains and higher IQ. And watch out for depression. Untreated depression is associated with delayed fetal growth and altered brain development. However, antidepressants can increase miscarriage rates, contribute to smaller fetal heads, and slow growth in the newborn. If depressed, consider transcranial magnetic stimulation, the only FDA-cleared, drug-free treatment for depression with no risk to the fetus. To be smart requires a healthy brain, so be smart, do right, and make your child bright.
To learn more about mental health, visit comeandreason.com.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't, because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's 1 every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Imagine a classroom with no boundaries. A classroom where reenacting a book is an English class, and repairing a motor is a math lesson. A classroom where caring for horses is biology. This is our classroom. At Bachman Academy, 6th to 12th graders with ADHD, dyslexia, and other language-based learning differences are provided a language-rich, hands-on program of study. With an average of 5 students per teacher, Bachman students receive more attention and have more time to learn while using their own learning strengths. Now, imagine your child in this classroom. To learn more about Bachman Academy, visit our website at www.bachmanacademy.org. Bachman Academy, tapping potential one person at a time.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Welcome back, and I want to introduce to our audience Dr. Schmitt. And Dr. Schmitt, there's so many parts of medicine you could get interested in. How did you get interested in gastroenterology?
Jim, thank you for having me on the
show.
show.
You're welcome.
What I like about gastroenterology is you get to think, but you also get to do. So we see many different parts of the bodies that require a good detective to try to figure out what's going on with the patient. But we also get to do procedures, so we get to use our head and our hands.
Well, that's great. Now, did you have to go to specialized training to become a gastroenterologist?
Yes, we do what's called a 3-year training in internal medicine, which is a broad type of primary care. But then if we want to subspecialize, like you, we have to go on and do a fellowship, specialty training in the digestive tract. And part of that can include extra training if we want to do procedures, for example, in the pancreas and bile duct in the liver.
Okay. And you actually see real patients?
Every day.
Every day. You have people come in with real problems.
Yes.
I remember in fellowship, you know, in internal medicine, you know, I was thinking about this, and there was a doctor that was a gastroenterologist where I went to school at the Medical Center of Delaware. His name was Dr. Budd. Okay, and I thought that was sort of an interesting name for a gastroenterologist.
It might be a good match.
And then there was another doctor we had named Dr. Hart, but he didn't go into cardiology, but that would have been a good thing to go into. We have a question right now from Karen. Karen, you're on with Dr. Schmitt.
Yes, I had a question about getting your bowels to move regularly. I can't do a lot of the fiber because as a type 2 diabetic, it sends the sugar levels up. So it's very frustrating. And I was wondering about how you can get them to move regularly and with the problem of not being able to use the actual fiber.
So Karen, that's a common problem, and yours is especially challenging for you because of the problem with the diabetes. So start with the basics and make sure that your exercise and movement is where you need it to be to optimize your bowel movements. You want to make sure that you're up and moving around some every day. Second, very basic, take a look at your medications and go over those with your doctor, because there are some medications that can actually make constipation worse or even cause constipation if it's not been a problem for you. If you're over age 50, or if you've had any alarming symptoms like weight loss or bleeding, make sure that you don't have an obstruction in the colon. If your colon's been looked at, though, in the last few years, that's probably not the problem. And we're getting back to the basics like the fiber intake that you asked about. Now, one of the things that you mentioned was a challenge with getting fiber, and that can be a challenge for diabetics because they have to limit sometimes how many fresh fruits they can have. But there are some fiber supplements you can use that are actually okay for diabetics. They're actually sugar-free. So when you shop for those, look and see what type of supplements you can use that are sugar-free. So again, exercise, look at your medicines, and then try to optimize the fiber with the sugar-free supplements that you can use.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for your call, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Schmitt, we have another call, and this call has to say, this person eats and has a lot of bloating after he eats. Could this possibly be gluten intolerance? So let's talk about what gluten intolerance is and what might be the symptoms.
So, Jim, gluten intolerance is actually a problem with how your body reacts to a certain protein that's found in wheat. Now, there's cross-reactivity between several of the grains. Rice is not one of those. Typically, oats is not, but wheat, barley, and rye contain different proteins. Your body can become sensitized to that. It's not an allergy like people would consider an allergy to a bee sting or a wasp sting or a medication. But your body does create these immunoglobulins that can react to that, and then you have problems with actually absorbing all kinds of nutrients in your bowel.
Okay.
Now, any problem, and gluten intolerance is one of those, can lead to bloating.
Okay.
If you don't have proper digestion and absorption of nutrients, but that's a very specific cause.
Right.
Now, some people are gluten intolerant. Some people actually have a condition called celiac disease.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that?
Heard
So
of that.
not everyone who's gluten intolerant has celiac disease. There's some very good screening blood tests we can do
Okay.
for that. So if you are concerned about the possibility of celiac disease or this wheat allergy, your doctor can provide you with this screening test. The gold standard for that diagnosis is actually a biopsy of the small intestine.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people will find that they feel better on a gluten-free diet,
Yeah,
but they're just trying to avoid processed foods.
I see.
So it's a healthier diet. They're going to be trying to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, fewer processed foods, usually less meat with that.
Okay.
So it's a good diet.
So one of the causes of bloating is gluten intolerance.
Gluten
But there could be
intolerance.
other causes too.
There can be. So we mentioned one.
Yeah.
One would be any type of sugar maldigestion.
Right.
Lactose is the most common
Yeah.
type of carbohydrate malabsorption.
And
As
that-
you get older, you're more likely to acquire lactose intolerance. So every year that goes by as an adult, you could still acquire lactose intolerance.
And that's a sugar in milk.
That's the
No.
milk sugar now, not the milk protein.
Okay.
It's not an allergy,
Okay.
but it's the not being able to digest the sugar found in the milk.
Okay. Well, I hope everyone is learning something. I sure am. And if you want to give us a call, 855-644-3278. You're watching Heart of Health Live. And on the line with us now, we have Maureen that's calling from Florida. Maureen, you're on with Dr. Schmitt.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
My question for Dr. Schmitt is, I heard so often about pancreatic cancer. What kind of nutrition is best to support your pancreas so as to not have this problem? And if there is a symptoms?
Pancreas cancer can be very sneaky, Maureen. Pancreas is the organ that sits behind the stomach, and it's got two functions. The first function actually helps to control diabetes. The second actually helps to digest fat. So some patients with pancreas cancer can present with diabetes. They can present with problems digesting fat. Most of the time they're going to present with pain that's typically in the upper portion of their abdomen and can radiate to the back, associated with weight loss. The main risk factors for pancreas cancer don't have so much to do with what you're eating as other lifestyle choices. And the two main risk factors are smoking and alcohol use.
Okay, I don't do any of those.
Good.
That's
good.
the best behavior you can have for that. There's not a lot you can do about your genes, but there are some patients that can be parts of families. So inherited genetic
okay.
predisposition can lead to that. It's still not as common a cancer as colon cancer, but these are some things to be aware of.
Okay, nutrition. What's the best nutrition that you can actually use to say, well, I'm supporting my pancreas?
Our cardiologist is going to like this answer, but the answer is going to be a high fiber, low fat diet.
Oh, I love that answer.
So the fat makes the pancreas work harder, in other words. But with regard to your entire digestive tract, from your esophagus down to your colon and including your liver and pancreas, a high fiber, low fat diet is going to be the healthiest diet.
Yeah.
Okay, I basically do that. Except I need to do it more.
We'll work on that. Maureen, we're glad you called us from Florida, and we wish you the best of health, okay?
Appreciate your answer, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you
I watched you all the time.
Okay, well, thank you, Maureen. And you know, when it comes to, you know, I'm a big proponent of a plant-based diet, okay? That's if everyone can get there. And sometimes it takes a little bit of changes over a long period of time, and I'd rather have someone happy than grumpy. So, you know, sometimes you have to make changes slow in life. Dr. Schmitt, we're going to answer some more calls after our break here. Give us a call, 855-644-3278. We have one line open. We're learning a lot about the GI tract, so stay with us. We're going to be right back. Don't go away.
The Heart Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I talk to patients every day who want to know the truth in healthcare. On our website, heartwiseministries.org, you can have your questions answered. You can read my blog where I talk about interesting and controversial subjects in medicine. You might choose to go to the radio or television sections and learn more about all sorts of health topics. Take the time and go to heartwiseministries.org.
I'd like to think that one day, when we get to heaven, we're going to see a list of people like Jared and Susan, who were introduced to Jesus because of something we said, or maybe it was as simple as a passing smile. But these people will look into their past and be able to say, I'm here because of you. Recently, you may have heard that Heartwise Ministries has begun spreading the gospel to the young, the old, the sick, and the healthy using this very television program. But we need your help. We want to take this type of medical programming to the non-believer and the person who has closed themselves off to traditional forms of outreach. If you believe as we do and want to support Heartwise so that together we can count more names on the Tree of Life, please consider donating today at heartwiseministries.org. That's heartwiseministries.org.
There's a place for modern medicine, but that's not enough. There's a place for lifestyle, but that's not enough. The real truth in medicine, the real truth in healing comes from that relationship with the Heavenly Father. That relationship can show us the balance, when to use modern medicine, when to use lifestyle, and to use it for the right reasons. Well, this book gives the solution to the healthcare dilemma. It answers the question, why am I sick? How do I get better? And how can I have ultimate healing?
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Welcome to everyone. We're talking with Dr. Schmitt, who's generously volunteered her time to serving others. And I was explaining to her earlier that when we serve other people, it actually has chemical benefits to our own body. We make more endorphins and less of the stress hormones like epinephrine and cortisol and those leukotrienes that make inflammation. So if you want to improve your chemistry, help someone else out today, serve them in some way, shape, or form. Our next caller is from Louise in Virginia. Louise, you're on with Dr. Schmitt.
Yes, Dr. Schmitt. I wanted to ask the question about trap gas. I often have a lot of trap gas in my shoulders, my upper back, and in my arm, and I'm trying to find out what causes that.
Louise, make sure first that it's not something else that's causing this pain in your arm. Gas in the digestive tract can go to the shoulder. For example, you can feel esophagus pain in your shoulder. You could feel gallbladder pain in your shoulder. And you could feel trapped gas in your shoulder. But make sure you've talked with someone about your heart, your joints, some other things that could cause shoulder pain. Sometimes something as simple as using a gas binding agent can help alleviate those symptoms. So for example, a liquid form of simethicone could help you. If you can belch, release some gas, that can help you. If you can reduce your caffeine and carbonated beverages, that will help with that sensation. Make sure your bowels are moving regularly. But I'd say first, make sure you don't have something else going on.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I don't drink caffeine and I don't drink carbonated beverages either.
And is this your left or your right side?
This is on my left side.
Okay, make sure that left shoulder isn't something going on with your heart, and talk with your doctor about that. But try something like some liquid simethicone. You can get that over the counter. No carbonated beverages, small meal sizes. and let us know what happens after that. Good luck.
Yeah, because sometimes it lasts us up to 3 days, and that's
Well, that must hurt.
That
yeah,
doesn't
it
sound
does. It
comfortable.
really hurts. I don't care what I do. I take Gas X, I take Malanta. Nothing seems to move it.
Do you exercise?
Yes.
Well, that's good because, you know, sometimes exercise, gravity sort of helps.
It definitely does. Positional changes can help. The lower GI tract working okay?
Now,
Yes.
at what
All right.
point would you look for pathology and do a test like, you know, look for colonoscopy or that point?
So I think that evaluation, you should be evaluated if your symptoms are responding to simple over-the-counter treatment, right? If you're doing some of the simple interventions that we've talked about, good bowel motion, some exercise, and then any alarm symptoms. If you see any signs of blood in your stool, if you've had weight loss, if you have difficulty swallowing where food's getting hung, or you feel like it's getting trapped in your upper abdomen, you need to have further evaluation.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your
Okay,
call,
thank you.
Louise.
You're welcome.
Okay. Susan, you're calling from California, and you're on with Dr. Schmitt, and I hope the weather's out there good today, is it?
It's very warm and sunny out here.
Well,
very beautiful.
Well, unfortunately, as we're filming today, it's sort of rainy where we're at. What's your question for Dr. Schmitt?
Yes, I have Crohn's disease, and I have just been diagnosed with prediabetes. And my question is, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what to eat because, like raw vegetables, I don't digest well. So I'm trying to figure out what I can eat that's going to get me nutrition and take away some of this abdominal pain that I have. I'm on massive doses of Asacol, and I also they just put me on Humira injections.
Okay. So do you know what part of your GI tract is involved in your Crohn's disease, Susan?
There are a couple of places, or about 2 or 3 places starting up. I know there's in the colon and in the upper. I think it's in practically all of it.
Yeah. So often, especially young people, it'll affect the end of the small intestine where that connects to the colon. That can cause some particular challenges for women with regard to vitamin D absorption. That's where one of your fat soluble vitamins is absorbed, and for women, that's a real osteoporosis risk. So make sure that you're getting
and
a vitamin.
I have that. I take the vitamin D and calcium.
Vitamin D and calcium supplement.
I have osteopenia.
And it's possible you've been on steroids for management of your Crohn's, and that contributed to the osteopenia and the diabetes risk. And your doctor's trying to not put you on steroids and has switched you over to the Humira, which is a bit more aggressive medication.
Right.
So with any luck at all, that pre-diabetes stage will improve. Do you have any other risk factors for diabetes, like being overweight, perhaps?
Well, I've lost like 45 pounds since I was diagnosed in 2003 with Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
So I'm always bloated.
Yeah.
She's asking about different foods that might help.
Yeah, so the diet for someone with Crohn's disease and diabetes is going to have to limit the very simple sugars, for example, apples, but you probably could eat some other types of fruits like bananas. That's going to be limited perhaps by your dietitian. A diet that has got moderate to high intake in protein, and then some of the other types of carbohydrates like rice would be beneficial for you. Those are very simple to break down and absorb through your digestive tract and in the small intestine.
Okay.
Salads are going to be tough. Something that's very tempting to you, very high in roughage like broccoli might have to be cooked a little bit more than you wish, but it'll still be a great source for B-complex vitamins and other vitamins and nutrients. But
and I'm
try to keep that balance with the vitamin A and C with the perhaps some juices that you'd be able to tolerate, maybe some smoothies made out of carrots and tomatoes and that sort of thing in limited quantities.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for your call, Susan, and we hope you get over this and start feeling better soon.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
We've had a question that's come in from our website, and this might be a 2-part question. We might not get it all done before break. It says, my doctor said I need a colonoscopy since my father died of colon cancer 2 years ago. I did not want to seem ignorant, but tell me a little bit about a colonoscopy and what it entails.
So a colonoscopy is an examination of the large intestine or colon, and it's an examination that's done with sedation, so you're asleep but breathing on your own. And a gastroenterologist or someone else who's appropriately trained to do the procedure will insert a long flexible tube in through the anal canal and directs it all the way around the colon. And the colon is cleansed beforehand so that when we're coming out and going into the colon, we can examine behind every fold and look for little growths on the colon wall called polyps.
Okay.
So when we're screening for colonoscopy, we're typically not looking for cancer. We're looking to remove a precancerous lesion.
And that's a polyp?
Called a polyp.
Okay.
We want to prevent colon cancer with the colonoscopy and polyp removal.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Now, how do you cleanse a bowel?
There's different ways to do it, but basically, you'll be on clear liquids the day before the procedure, nothing but clear liquids, no solids. And we prescribe a cleansing agent that you'll drink, and that can vary in type based on your other medical conditions. And as you drink that liquid, it helps flush all that stool and matter out of the colon so that it's just as clear as it can be. We can see every lining and every polyp.
You know, I had, Dr. Schmitt, one patient said that the actual procedure wasn't as bad as getting the colon clean. Have you heard that before?
Most people say that the day before is worse than actually having the procedure. Most people are very comfortable during the procedure.
And let's say you don't have any problems. At what age should you probably have your first colonoscopy if you didn't have any family history or anything like that? Should you have one?
So if you have no symptoms and no family history of colon cancer, we recommend screening to begin at age 50.
At age 50.
Now for African Americans, there's some data to suggest that that should begin at age 45.
Okay.
The guidelines aren't universal for that, but if you are African American, think about younger.
Okay, we're going to go to break now. You can join us with our discussion, 855-644-3278, or you can join us on our webpage, heartwiseministries.org. Dr. Schmitt will be back answering your questions in just a few minutes.
The Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
I'm Dr. James Marcum with your medical moment. I don't know about you, but I get thirsty if I talk a lot. Well, one of the greatest needs of our body is water. Did you realize that up to 70% of our body is water? All the chemical reactions from the brain to the heart beating to the muscles moving all depend on water. It's one of the most important substances we put in our body. If we get dehydrated, many bad things happen. We can have inflammation, we can have the blood thicken, we can have blood pressure changes, we can even have our heart race. You don't want to be walking around in the desert. Hydrate yourself. How much do you need? Divide your weight in two, that's about how many ounces. Or drink enough water till your urine comes out clean. Remember, water is one of the most important ingredients we put in ourselves every day.
To learn more about your health and discover what Dr. Marcum is doing in your area, visit heartwiseministries.org.
Have you ever heard things about God that didn't make sense? Have you ever thought that science and Scripture cannot be reconciled? Have you heard ideas about God that scare you? Or are you just tired and confused? If you want answers to complex problems, if you want a testable, evidence-based understanding of God and the world around you, an understanding in which the Bible and science harmonize to reveal the reality that God is love all the time, then Come and Reason Ministries is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Tim Jennings, board-certified psychiatrist, and Come and Reason Ministries is dedicated to helping you learn to discern, to stimulate you to think, to help hone and refine your ability to know the right from the wrong, the healthy from the unhealthy, and teach you how to experience healing of your mind, body, and relationships here and now. If you would like an evidence-based approach to knowing God, then visit us online at comeandreason.com.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
We are so glad you've taken the time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening. We're learning a lot about the GI tract, and off break we were talking about, some people have medical problems that get them in bad shape and that they feel like there's no hope, and some people don't have lifestyle or medical things that are making them feel better. But that's one thing we like to let everyone know on Heart of Health. There's a God in heaven, and that God hears your prayers, and He's going to heal you as long as you're in that relationship with Him. Sometimes He heals through modern medicine. Sometimes He gives you the power to change your lifestyle. But we know in that relationship, someday He can heal us all permanently. So we want you to keep that in mind if you're not feeling so happy out there today. Our next question comes from Lou in Idaho. You're on with Dr. Schmitt. Lou, go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Schmitt. Yes, I have a question. I have had several surgeries, from appendectomy a long time ago, gallbladder surgery due to lots of stones and whatnot in my gallbladder, and a hiatal hernia repair. And we eat lots of fresh fruits, and we eat veggies and smooth move tea and prunes and things. But my intestinal tract still does not seem to want to be regular, and it's just so frustrating. I drink a lot of water. There's times when it seems really great, and then there's times when I do those things and all of a sudden I just, it's almost like diarrhea, and then there's times where I don't go for several days. And I just don't know what the best thing for me to do is.
Lou, do you have any discomfort with your symptoms where your bowel movements alternate back and forth?
Oh, well, in my upper right, just under my ribs, a lot of times there's some discomfort in there, kind of like maybe where the transverse colon is. I don't know.
A lot of stuff up there. So you're challenged by a couple of things, probably maybe even more than two. When you've had repair of a hiatal hernia, sometimes the stomach will slow down. And when you've had your gallbladder out, sometimes the lower part of the bowel will speed up in terms of having diarrhea. So you're going to be balancing, perhaps for the rest of your life, these changes back and forth from constipation to diarrhea. Women also can be challenged by trying to guess or predict how that might change with their monthly cycle, which we can actually see.
And I'm past all of that.
That's good, but let me tell you, menopause sometimes doesn't make it a whole lot better. And it can be sort of a prediction game. There are some different ways to strategize so that if you're having some constipation phase, you can move into perhaps some simple over-the-counter remedies. I could suggest some like Miralax, or a generic name for that is Glycolax, that creates a pegylated solution, won't cause any shifts in electrolytes or fluids. But you're going to have to titrate that along with perhaps a fiber supplement that you can use daily, every other day. It's not going to be a magic potion for you, but work with that combination and see if that will regulate it just a bit.
Okay. I would like to just get, balanced.
Yeah. A lot of people would like to have a magic fix so that they don't have to address this from day to day or week to week. But patients, especially who have had surgical alterations in their anatomy or have a predisposition to irritable bowel or functional diarrhea and constipation, it really will be a management decision from day to day. It's very much like having osteoarthritis. So I can't give you a pill to fix it, and from day to day it will be a management issue for you, but you can do it. You can do it by focusing on what you need to do in a predictive fashion and stick with that great diet, because what you're doing is healthy.
Okay, well, I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And I guess that's just something I have to live with and work on every day.
Yep, and make sure you had your colon cancer screening.
Yes, I have done that. So,
okay.
But see, I have Barrett's esophagus too, so I have to kind of keep an eye on that. But I think other than that, I'm very healthy. So thank you very much.
That's good. And let me come back to something I said to an earlier caller, and do make sure, especially with this complication with your Barrett's, that you've reviewed all of your medicines, including your over-the-counter medicines, with your doc, because even medicines that we use for the GI tract can cause GI side effects. Okay? So look at all of those with your doc. Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, here we've had a person write in a question, and this talks about they're interested in how are there foods that are more gassy than others, and how to prepare foods to make them less gassy. That might not be possible.
Well, the answer to the first question is you betcha. There
Okay.
are plenty of foods that create gas. The foods that we actually have been recommending all evening can actually produce more gas.
But gas is not bad, is it?
Gas is not bad.
Okay.
Gas is produced by the bacteria in your bowel.
Okay.
They produce methane, and that's what you pass as flatus. So the gas we pass is made by the bacteria. The food products that can increase gas are some that we talked about earlier. So you drink carbonated beverages, you're going to have more gas.
Okay.
If you have lactose intolerance,
Right.
that's an easy solution. Eliminate milk, cheese, ice cream.
Okay.
Plenty of substitutes for the milk now. There's rice, there's almond milk, there's soy milk, there's lactate. You might not be able to eat that either. Yogurt's typically okay. Think about fructose, the simple fruit sugar, especially in apple juice. Very high drinkers of juices can have more fructose. And then the gas-producing vegetables like beans, the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower. Keep eating them, but they'll produce more gas. Can't cook it out.
Can't cook it out.
Can't cook it out.
Well, a lot of people have that problem,
Very common.
I have a teenager at home, and when he makes gas, he starts to laugh about it. So it doesn't bother him that much. But, in public situations, gas is not a good thing.
No, it can be rather dreadful in some
and it can be
situations.
embarrassing too.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hope that answers your question a little bit. One of the things I want to talk about a little bit, what do you think about resting a bowel? If a bowel's not, we try to rest in heart disease, we try to slow down the heart, slow down the blood pressure. Do you ever recommend fasting and, eating real simple things to break down for different GI conditions?
There are some conditions.
You've heard a lot about fasting and things of that nature.
There are some people that actually they feel blessed when they fast. That it's a sacrifice to them because they love to eat. There are some people that believe they need to have a cleanse periodically. In reference to an earlier question, for patients that get particularly constipated, they can actually have some excessive gas from a condition called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Okay.
So if your bowel is very sluggish and you have a lot of stasis in the colon, the bacteria can creep up, the normal bacteria, into the parts of the intestine where it doesn't belong. So those patients probably do need to have a bowel movement and perhaps think about cleansing it every now and then. And a simple diet may also help benefit that. But from a general standpoint, I don't recommend fasting.
Okay, cool, that's good. And that question comes up quite a bit,
Cleansing and fasting
for different things. And I got some questions not too long ago come up about colonics and stuff like that, and that can cause damage too.
It can, and there is really, other than some of the things we've talked about, no proven benefit, and it's been looked at, to doing colonics.
Yeah, that seems to be more an out west thing than it is an eastern thing, but I don't know, it's going on.
Occasional practitioners, but not mainstream.
We are learning a lot here with Dr. Schmitt, and you still have time to be a part of our conversation. It's 855-644-3278. In case you're channel flopping, you're watching Heart of Health, and we're here every single week answering your questions live, and we hope that everyone's learning something, even if you haven't called in with a question. We're glad you're here with us. You can also check out our website where you can learn more about our programming and health. That's heartwiseministries.org. And if you want to be one of our Facebook friends, please join us on Facebook. We love to have new friends. We have some great new questions coming in. I see that Marie is calling us from New Hampshire. We're going to try to answer her calls and others after this break with Dr. Schmitt. We're just so glad she's joined us. We're going to be right back.
Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Tim Jennings with your Mental Health Minutes. Are you pregnant or thinking of becoming pregnant? Do you want to ensure your child will have the healthiest brain possible? Then avoid all alcohol, because as little as 1 glass of wine per week alters brain development and is associated with behavior and emotion problems. Avoid smoking. Children born to mothers who smoked had higher rates of learning and behavior problems and psychotic disorders. Take omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s promote healthy brains and higher IQ. And watch out for depression. Untreated depression is associated with delayed fetal growth and altered brain development. However, antidepressants can increase miscarriage rates, contribute to smaller fetal heads, and slow growth in the newborn. If depressed, consider transcranial magnetic stimulation, the only FDA-cleared, drug-free treatment for depression with no risk to the fetus. To be smart requires a healthy brain, so be smart, do right, and make your child bright.
To learn more about mental health, visit comeandreason.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. James Marcum, speaker, director of Heartwise Ministries. And at Heartwise, our goal is to bring people into a relationship with the Heavenly Father using modern medicine and the healing principles found in the Bible. We teach people that there is a place for modern medicine and a healthy lifestyle, but it is in a relationship with their Creator where ultimate healing can occur. Over the past years, our ability to share this message of truth, love, and healing around the world has increased exponentially. But to continue this steady growth, we need your help. We are looking and praying for 100 individuals willing to give $1,000 a year. If the Spirit is moving you to become one of the Heartwise 100, won't you consider donating online today at heartwiseministries.org.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Well, if I'm looking at our monitor right, we have Marie calling from New Hampshire. Is that right, Marie?
Yes, doctor.
Well, you're on live with Dr. Schmitt.
How do you do?
Hey, Marie.
I have a lot of questions, and I don't know which way to turn and say.
Well, we have a lot of people on, so you give us the number one question you want this time, okay?
Well, I've got a whole. I have colon cancer in my family. My mother and my aunt had colon cancer, and I'm 75 years old, and I have had one colonoscopy when I was 69.
Okay.
Knew I had to take another one in the next 5 years from 69 to now, but my husband in 2011 had a stroke, and I had to be the caregiver. And then last November, he passed away from diabetes, and I was doing all the stuff. I'm very stressed. I have had very little food in me that I could say I eat good because of all the stress. And I was told I'm so stressed that I could have an angina. And I put that off, taking care of all these paperwork, because my husband has been a 100% disabled veteran, and I have not made any claims, and all this paperwork is getting to me. So as you well can see from what I'm saying, I'm a wreck. I'm nervous. I have diarrhea. I hardly eat anything, but it runs right through me. And I'm just wondering, is it from the stress of all this, or would you say, I know I have to go for a colonoscopy, but due to all these things, if I eat cheese, I get diarrhea. If I eat a little chopped, because I'm more a vegetarian, any little meat that I take because I'm on the run and I'll have a hamburger, and it's not fried, it's just a McDonald's, I will have this problem. If I eat gravy, I will have this problem. So I'm just wondering if you can give me any advice, if it's just nerves, stress, or other than that I need to see and have a colonoscopy as fast as possible.
Sure. It sounds like you've been through a terrible year. I hope that gets better for you. Stress can make anything worse.
I don't have a brain left.
Yeah, stress can make all of your GI symptoms worse. I don't want you to be afraid about having the colonoscopy because of your stress.
I was okay the last time.
And I don't want you to be afraid that something bad is going on. But let me tell you about something that we see commonly in older women that is a common cause of watery diarrhea. It's a type of colitis called microscopic colitis. And during your exam, when your doctor does your screening, they can do some simple random biopsies through the colon. That might be a very, very quick and easy problem they could treat for you that would improve your quality of life substantially. So I want you tomorrow to pick up the phone and call the GI office that did your prior exam and talk with your medical assistant and get that exam scheduled. You've carried a
colonoscopy?
You've carried a big burden the last year.
I have.
And it's time, it sounds like, to take care of you and start to get these problems evaluated and treated where we can. Because sometimes it's a very simple solution to something that can just seem overpowering and debilitating. So let them take a look at that and get this evaluated for you.
Well,
okay?
Doctor, it's not runny, watery diarrhea.
Doesn't have to
It's
be.
diarrhea.
Doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Well, Marie, thank you so much for taking the time to call, and we're going to put you on our prayer list. And like I said, we're just going to be here, and if you want to call us again sometime and talk about the next question, we'd love to have you. So thanks for calling.
So much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
What is microscopic? How do you treat microscopic colitis?
It is a type of colitis where you actually don't see visible inflammation, hence the name microscopic colitis. The diagnosis is made by biopsy. There's two types we can talk about now. The first line treatment is actually bismuth, Pepto-Bismol.
Okay, Pepto-Bismol.
2 weeks. You can take tablets, the caplets or spoonfuls, 4 times a day for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And almost always it'll respond to that. There's a subset that won't, but that's in general the way we treat it.
Well, I'm learning something every day. Betty from Virginia, you're on with Dr. Schmitt. What's your question?
Yes, my question is, I have this bloating in my stomach and griping in my stomach, and sometimes I pass a lot of gas with it. And about a year ago, I was diagnosed with H. pylori, and I got some antibiotics, and they say that it was cleared up.
Yes.
I'm wondering if that's a problem I have now. And I also have a bladder problem. I have to go to the bathroom very often, and sometimes like it is so swollen down in my belly bottom, and I can hardly sit down. I went to the urology the other day, and they say that I have caruncles. I don't know, but I'm suffering with this thing, and so I'm asking if there's any help for me.
So Betty, if I can, let me focus on the symptom that you asked about that does relate to your stomach. And it's a question no one's asked us about yet, and that's infection with Helicobacter pylori. That's a bacteria that can be transferred from person to person, usually within households, very common, and often is treated very effectively with that first course of antibiotics. But your doctor, now a year out, can actually do some simple tests to ensure, if you have the question, that you either still have it or it's gone. Those tests can be a breath test, non-invasive. They can actually check a stool test. Again, it's non-invasive. They don't have to do a scope necessarily.
Okay.
It's a bit early to check the blood test. That blood test will stay positive sometimes for many years.
Okay.
So they'll want to check it the other way, but there are ways they can check to be sure it was treated effectively.
Okay.
It actually is not common, if it was treated effectively, it's not common to get it again. Only about 1% per year. So if they knocked it out the first time, odds are you're not going to get it again, and that one is taken care of. But then you'll have to still address some of your symptoms. Okay?
Yes, and the other one about the bladder, I have the doctors, the urologists say that I have caruncles. And I don't even understand, because the symptoms I'm having is that I have to go to the restroom very often, and it's painful, and it's a certain time of the month it just bothers me so much. I had a hysterectomy about 20 years ago, and since I had it, I have a problem with my bladder.
Yep.
I don't know if it's getting worse, but I'm having a problem every month with this thing.
So that's a little bit outside my area of expertise, but what they're describing to you actually is a little area of irritation and inflammation. It's a very focal area that will get swollen and inflamed, almost like a boil. And that's why it causes the tenderness and the discomfort. Sometimes they'll treat that with antibiotics. Sometimes it'll help to soak in warm water. But that's about as comfortable as I'd feel getting into that area.
And Betty, we do have urologists that come on from time to time, and I will make sure I ask them about that, about ways that they can help people with that. So we'll get an answer back to you at some point, okay? Thanks for your call, Betty.
Thank you.
We still have a little bit of segment left. We still have time for people to give us a call at 855-644-3278. Dr. Schmitt's been sharing with us her expertise in helping serve everybody. We want to invite everyone to go to our website, heartwiseministries.org, and thank everyone for taking the time to join us and share their questions. Because when you share your question, you never know how many other people have that same question, but they might be too shy to ask. Talking about questions, Zoe, we're going to be back with you. Stay with us.
Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I talk to patients every day who want to know the truth in healthcare. On our website, heartwiseministries.org, you can have your questions answered. You can read my blog where I talk about interesting and controversial subjects in medicine. You might choose to go to the radio or television sections and learn more about all sorts of health topics. Take the time and go to heartwiseministries.org. There's a place for modern medicine, but that's not enough. There's a place for lifestyle, but that's not enough. The real truth in medicine, the real truth in healing comes from that relationship with the Heavenly Father. That relationship can show us the balance, when to use modern medicine, when to use lifestyle, and to use it for the right reasons. Well, this book gives the solution to the healthcare dilemma. It answers the question, why am I sick? How do I get better? And how can I have ultimate healing?
I'd like to think that one day, when we get to heaven, we're going to see a list of people like Jared and Susan, who were introduced to Jesus because of something we said. Or maybe it was as simple as a passing smile. But these people will look into their past and be able to say, I'm here because of you. Recently, you may have heard that Heartwise Ministries has begun spreading the gospel to the young, the old, the sick, and the healthy using this very television program. But we need your help. We want to take this type of medical programming to the non-believer and the person who has closed themselves off to traditional forms of outreach. If you believe as we do and want to support Heartwise so that together we can count more names on the Tree of Life, please consider donating today at heartwiseministries.org. That's heartwiseministries.org.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're going to move fast this last segment with Dr. Schmitt. I want to get two more questions in. Zodi, you're on with Dr. Schmitt here. We're going to try to go with your question pretty fast here. What's your question?
Thank you for taking my call.
Okay.
I'm perfectly healthy except I have bloating. And what is the cause of bloating and how can I get rid of it?
Okay. Cause of bloating.
Zodi, was it bloating or bleeding?
Bloating.
Bloating. What is your nationality?
Ethiopia.
Your background?
I'm from Ethiopia.
Ethiopian, okay. Yours might be diet related, but one of the other problems that we talked about earlier was bacterial overgrowth. So dietary factors that can lead to bloating are lactose, fructose, and also the high fiber foods, whole grain cereals, vegetables, things that are really good for you. I want to encourage you to continue to eat vegetables. Say again?
Are you saying if I eat more of those, I'll be having bloating, or?
Sometimes people will have bloating, but you usually actually can accommodate to that. Another cause that we see is small bowel intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where we get bacteria up into the intestine. Might one consider a probiotic yogurt. Probiotics are the types of good bacteria that we want to populate our colon, and sometimes the bacteria that are less desirable can increase. And if you repopulate with the good bacteria, that can help with bloating. So consider using a probiotic yogurt. One example would be Activia yogurt.
I don't eat milk, so is there any other way I can get those?
So milk, cheese, or ice cream. Yogurt doesn't really have much lactose. Is that your concern, or is it all milk products?
All milk products I don't
Okay.
eat.
So if you want to have a probiotic and avoid the yogurt, you can get one that's encapsulated. There are many, many brands that you can look at. Phillips Digestive Health is a good one. Align is a good probiotic, and these are just encapsulated. You can get them anywhere at the store.
So no prescription is needed?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank
Not
you very
for those.
much.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
thanks for your call, Zodi. Robin, you're on with Dr. Schmitt. We're going to have to go quick. We only have a little more than a minute.
Hello.
Go ahead, Robin.
Hi. I was just wondering if there were any foods that could help with, sort of help with preventing hemorrhoids, or
Fiber, fiber, fiber.
Okay.
Fiber and fiber.
Okay. So Robin, lots of fiber.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your call. Well, you know, we're wrapping up here, but I think that we've struck a chord because so many people were interested in the GI tract, and we're going to have you come back again and talk more about this. And if you have your questions for Dr. Schmitt, I'll save it next time when she comes in. We'll try to answer your questions on Heart of Health Live. And you can also contact our ministry if you go to the website, heartwiseministries.org. And in 30 seconds, Dr. Schmitt, if you wanted to look at the entire world and give them one piece of information, I'm putting you on the spot, but what would that be?
Oh, me. I would say I can. I can change my dietary habits. I can change my exercise program. I can change my body. I'm in charge. God's in charge. Make it healthy.
Yeah. And at the Heart of Health, we want to encourage you to have that relationship with the Heavenly Father. You might not change everything at once, but He can help you learn things. You might have learned something on our program today that'll help us to change little things, and we can have better health, less symptoms, less need for modern medicine. We want to thank you for joining us on Heart of Health. I'm Dr. James Marcum, and thanking so much Dr. Schmitt for joining us. I want to thank the entire production teams, the call center, the directors, and everyone on the cameras. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Dr. James Marcum.